Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of Around the World in a TBM 930 here on the Airborne Lawyer YouTube channel. This morning you find us in Quebec City, the provincial capital of Quebec in Canada. Quebec is an Algonquian name which refers to where the river narrows, and you can literally see right here where the St. Lawrence River begins to narrow as it makes its way out into the North Atlantic. The St. Lawrence River heads southwest from here, all the way down there through Montreal and then into Lake Ontario, which of course feeds into all the Great Lakes in both Canada and the United States. So this is Quebec City. This large building in front of us here is the Chateau Frontenac Hotel. Dominates the skyline. It's an intact fortress that forms the centerpiece of the ramparts surrounding the old city. And then here's the downtown area. I've never actually been to Quebec City in real life, but this gives us a good sense of what it's like. And it's also very, very cold here today. We'll be checking the weather very shortly and have a look at that in detail. So that's the downtown area. We're just going to zoom out now to the airport and pick up the aeroplane, which is ready for us for our next bit of this round the world adventure. Today we're going to do some real sightseeing. We're going to fly relatively low altitudes down the St. Lawrence River to Montreal, then head west up to Ottawa, and then cut back down to Lake Ontario and head towards Toronto. So we'll just get the plane started here, all the usual checks. We're going to be flying into Billy Bishop Toronto City Airport, not
System test.
Pearson International. And Billy Bishop City Airport is right on the lakefront, so it's a very scenic place to land, right alongside the CN Tower and other famous landmarks of Toronto. It's about 2 hours worth of flying time, but I'm going to again time-lapse the bits in between. That being said, you should still get a good sense of the scenery around here, because we're not going to be flying particularly high. We've done a lot of point-to-point legs, across the Atlantic to get that bit done, but now is the point of this journey where we can start to enjoy some of the scenery. Let's take a look at the weather then. Oh gosh, yes, it's really cold. Minus 17 degrees centigrade. The wind's 300 at 4. Okay. It says it's overcast there. It's not at all overcast here. I'm not going to complain about that on this occasion. I am having a few issues getting really accurate renditions of the weather loaded into MSFS 2020. But on this occasion, I'm going to live with the bright sunshine quite happily instead of overcast skies. It's quite nice to see that. That being said, it is very, very cold. I noticed that the outside air temperature is showing at minus 17 degrees centigrade. The engine's getting nice and hot though, so we'll just let that do its thing for a few more moments, and then we'll switch the throttle over to flight idle. There we go. Auxiliary boost pump to auto, fuel selectors to auto, bleeds to auto, and we'll get the pushback trolley to just push us back from our parking position. Once again, sorry, I was just looking out the side there. We have a thick covering of snow, which means I won't be able to see the taxiways again. If you've seen the previous couple of episodes, you'll see this has been a persistent issue on the recent flights I've done, where we've been flying into a lot of snowy, icy places. But it's all fun, and it's nice to see the weather looking so realistic. We didn't used to have snow on previous versions of Flight Sim, that's for sure. Okay, that'll do. Oh, there's a line there. Great. We can actually pick that up. So yeah, not going up very high. If you can see the autopilot here, you'll see I've set in to the Garmin system 5,000 feet. The idea is that we can actually see some of the scenery around here. I'm not going up to normal kind of long-haul cruise altitudes. And away we go. One of the biggest challenges will be taxiing along the designated line. There is another aircraft on that map showing which is coming into Quebec City in the next few minutes, so we should look out for that. It's just a little Cessna, but I think it's one of the first times in the Around the World in the TBM 930 series that we have seen another VATSIM Simviator. Just checking those flashing lights up there. No, that's the runway lights. That's not an aeroplane. I don't know if anyone else has had this on Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, but I have had to turn down the slider for airport vehicles. I had it when I first loaded up the game. I had it where there were just buses and luggage carts all over the place. I even had it, I was flying into Miami Opa-locka, and there was a long traffic jam of passenger transfer buses and luggage carts and various other bits and pieces, so I had to turn that down. This seems a little bit more authentic now, just a few vehicles here and there. I've lost the line again. I'm on concrete. I think I'll live with that. I'm definitely not on the grass. Here's the taxiway. That looks a bit better. The other pilot on VATSIM, I think, is coming in on runway 06, which is just straight ahead of us there. Can't see him at the moment, but it is just... Oh. I don't know, sorry, I don't know where I'm going on this taxiway. Let's just pull around here. Here we go. That's it. I don't want to go onto the runway. Yeah, the other VATSIMmer out there is just a little Cessna, so it might be quite tricky to see, but we do need to be a bit careful before we take off this morning. Okay, just check the map here. I'm going to turn off to the left very shortly. I'm going to take off from the runway which points north west, because that should be in line with the wind. One thing I was going to say is, yes, I will time-lapse some of the bits in between the cities, and then what I'm going to do is get out the drone when we fly past Montreal and Ottawa, so we can have a good look at those cities, which will be quite a bit of fun, I think. So I will stay fairly quiet for the most part and stick some music on, but then we'll speak again when we get to each of those cities. In practice, it's not very far at all to fly down to Montreal and Ottawa from here. Certainly well below an hour, but for YouTube purposes I'll just speed up the bits in between. Okay, the other aircraft on VATSIM is landing imminently, I think, so we will just have to hold short here and keep an eye out for him. I'll stick on the landing lights, stick on the strobes, and just wait here for a second. Oh, there he is, I think. Just see an aircraft over to the left there. there he is. Great. Okay. We'll just let him get clear and then we'll take off. Whilst we're waiting, of course, don't forget, if you are enjoying these videos of this round the world adventure in a TBM 930, please do click subscribe and like, and then you'll get notifications through of when I manage to get future episodes put up. Just give him a moment to get off the runway, and we'll be underway very shortly. Okay, Montreal, here we go. so here we are, Montreal. Not a long flight at all from Quebec City, just about 30 odd minutes in the air, I think. Just along the St Lawrence River, and here we are. So the first site that you can just see over there is the Montreal Olympic Stadium from 1976, from the Summer 76 Olympic Games. This is what it looks like in real life. We'll go and take a look at it in just a moment. I'm going to get the drone out and fly over there. Now, just a word of warning, my drone expertise is work in progress. I've put in a few extra keyboard shortcuts to try and keep it a bit smoother, but bear with me as I get the hang of flying the drone around as effectively as possible. Okay, I've just slowed the plane up a bit. I'm just going to keep it flying on this heading at this altitude, and we're going to go and explore downtown. So, away we go. So yes, Montreal hosted the 1976 Summer Olympic Games, and the main venue for that was this Olympic Stadium, which sits just on the outskirts of the east of the city. Already the plane's out of sight. That's pretty realistic. That's a good rendition of the stadium, I would say. It's really good. Okay, let's head on into the downtown. Montreal is the second most populous city in Canada, and it is about 400 years old, and it's named after this hill here called Mont Royal. It's obviously quite a small hill. If I come down a bit, you'll be able to see a bit more clearly. I have climbed Mont Royal in real life on a visit to Montreal some 17 years ago. It's a really lovely city, and one particular highlight was I went to, I can't remember where within Montreal now, but I went to a bagel shop where they cooked fresh bagels, and it was a real highlight of the visit. They were just delicious. That was the lunch I had in Montreal. I'm sure there's an awful lot more that can be said about Montreal, but I'm going to mention that bagel shop. It was an institution. I think everyone who knew anything about Montreal went there from time to get their lunch. I also remember going and exploring this area down by the riverfront with all these piers, and this bit I seem to recall felt very, very French in its heritage. It seemed quite strange, having travelled extensively in France. It felt quite strange to be in North America, in Canada, and seeing something that looked so very French in its architecture and culture. But it's a fabulous city, well worth a visit if you're ever in Canada. Do make sure you stop by Montreal. Let's head off to Ottawa now, which is just to the west of here. Another very short flight. We'll be there in just a few moments' time. Okay, we've arrived in Ottawa, the capital city of Canada. A very short flight up from Montreal, particularly when it's time-lapsed. Ottawa is not a very old city by any stretch. It's only about 200 years old. It's the fourth largest city in Canada. It's the capital, of course, and it is the seat of Canadian government. So once again I'm going to get out the drone here and go and take a look around. Speed that up a bit. Right, here we go. So it's not particularly big, it's a lot smaller than Montreal. About similar sort of size actually to Quebec City. This is just the Canadian Museum of History right here. And then there's a series of locks just to the left of the Canadian Parliament building on Parliament Hill, which is right here. I stayed in a hotel somewhere down this road here, I think. A long time ago now. There's Parliament Hill again, and just to the right of Parliament is the hotel which features at Epcot. I don't quite know how Epcot decided on the Fairmont Chateau Laurier Hotel in Ottawa, that's it right there, for its miniature Canada, but it did. That's the National Gallery of Canada right there, which sits right next door to the US Embassy. And that's it. Pretty small place, Ottawa. Lovely little capital city though. Well worth a visit again. But for now we're going to head off to Toronto. So here we are, we've arrived in Toronto, by far the most populous city in Canada. In fact, it's the fourth most populous city in the whole of North America. Toronto has a population of a little under 3 million, and the Greater Toronto Area, or the GTA as it's known, has a population of over 9 million, and this is the GTA. So I'm just coming over Scarborough at the moment. What I did after leaving Ottawa is I headed back down to Lake Ontario and then looked out for the Highway 401, the Macdonald-Cartier Freeway, which goes between Toronto and Montreal, and followed that all the way in. So I'm just looking at that. That's just within my view there. Now, I know Toronto quite well. I was at the University of Toronto in 2004 and came to know the city very, very well. So I'm following the 401 and I'm looking out for this road across it here, which heads north to south. That's called the Don Valley Parkway, and I'm going to turn to follow that down towards the downtown area, which you can just see on the horizon there.
Toronto traffic, WestJet 701 pushing, starting, stand Charlie forward.
There we go. Just a bit of proof, if you needed it, that we are flying this on VATSIM. We aren't flying into the international airport, we're flying into the city airport right on the waterfront with fantastic views of the city on the way in. That's me just adjusting the mic. Apologies for that, so I can do my air traffic control announcements on my way in. Right, yes, so we're going to get some great views of the waterfront on the way in. This is an unconventional visual approach into the airport. I don't think you do this in real life, but I'm just flying it VFR. So we're following the Don Valley Parkway southbound here. And then I'm going to make a right-hand turn at the end and come into land over the waterfront. We will then get out the drone to go and explore Toronto. Interestingly enough, as you may have noticed, en route from Ottawa, the snow started to disappear and there's no snow on the ground here in Toronto at all. Now, I don't know how realistic that is. Certainly, when I was out in Toronto, January was in fact the coldest, snowiest month of all, so I'd expect there to be some snow on the ground. Again, could be some issues there with syncing real-world weather into the sim, which I don't think we've got quite right just yet, either with the default weather engine in the sim itself or with some of the add-ons you can get at the moment. The plus side though is that the skies remain clear. Earlier on, of course, when we left Quebec, it was meant to be very overcast. And the other advantage of landing without snow is that I'll be able to see where to pull off the runway and use the taxiways in a slightly more conventional way. So we're now well down towards downtown Toronto. You can start to see Toronto Islands coming up here. They sit in Lake Ontario itself. And just the other side of Lake Ontario is Niagara Falls, which you're going to be going to see in the next video. Seems to be having a few issues recognising the CN Tower. At the moment it just looks like a massive needle. And you can just start to see the city airport coming into view now.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
Toronto City Billy Bishop traffic. Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha is 5 miles east, inbound to land, runway 24. Toronto's city centre traffic. And of course that's not the right runway number, is it? It's 26. Toronto City Centre traffic, correction, Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha, inbound, runway 26, 3 miles, Toronto City Centre traffic. The other thing I realise here is I'm actually not on the centre line of the runway at all, so I'm just going to have to repoint the aircraft. It doesn't really matter, we're coming in nice and slowly, just taking in all the scenery. But that, what I thought I was coming into there, is actually a disused runway. This airport is tiny. That's obviously fine for a TBM 930, but you wouldn't land here if you're coming in from London on a Boeing 777 or something. So again, it's now indicating I should be landing downwind, but we should be flying into a straight on headwind. Oh well, give it time. Okay, here we are. Welcome to Toronto, everybody. We're going to do a little bit of sightseeing around Toronto in just a moment. We'll do that now, given the weather is clear. No doubt, if I don't do it now, the next time I log in, the weather's going to be awful and you won't be able to see anything. Don't forget to click on subscribe or to click like if you've enjoyed watching this video, and thank you for taking the time to do so. It now feels like we've travelled a fair old distance. So we started in Cambridge, we went to Stornoway, we went to Reykjavik, then to Nuuk. Toronto City Airport, Golf Whiskey Alpha has vacated runway 26. Toronto City Airport. Just remembering my air traffic control obligations there. After Nuuk, we went to Goose Bay, then Quebec City, and now Toronto with a flyby.
Also WestJet 701, crossing free right.
With a fly past Montreal and Ottawa on the way down. For those who haven't been using flight simulators quite as closely as I have over the years, and I'm talking literally 20, 30 years, what we're doing here just would never have been possible before MSFS 2020. The scenery is just astonishing. I don't quite know how it does it. I'm a lawyer, not an IT technician, so I don't develop software or design graphics, so I don't know how it does it, but it's just incredible. So we're going to get the plane shut down and then we'll have a quick look around Toronto.
Warning, okay.
There we go. Once again, our trusty steed, the TBM 930, does us proud, getting us all the way from Quebec down to Toronto, nice and safely and nice and quickly. You can fly it like a big airliner, really fast, really high. You can fly it like a Cessna, really low and really slow. It's a fantastic aircraft. Let's go and take a look at Toronto itself then. So a bit more time with the drone. This is the CN Tower and the Sky Dome right in front of us. So the Sky Dome is where the Toronto Blue Jays play baseball. This is the downtown area. A part of the city that I'm particularly interested in seeing is the university campus, which played a very important part of my early 20s. Or in my early 20s, sorry. Okay, so this is university. Here's Queen's Park coming up here. This big building in the middle of this park is where the Ontario provincial government sits, and then off to the left of it is the university campus. So you can see at the top of the campus there, you can see the sports ground, you can see various buildings. I've studied in some of these. Hart House just down there, and right in front of us, this strange kind of triangular shaped behemoth is the Robarts Library, which I have spent a number of hours in. It's a fantastic university library. And here we go, just flying over St George Street, and right in front of us is Tartu College, where I lived. I lived on the second floor of this tower block here. And last time I went to Toronto in 2016, I stayed in the Holiday Inn just there. So this is Bloor Street, just coming past again the University Sports Ground, coming up to the Royal Ontario Museum, or the ROM. Oh, and that's interesting, it looks like there's some kind of street market going on down on Bloor Street there. Back over towards Queen's Park again now, and we'll head downtown. To be doing sightseeing like this on a flight simulator is truly breathtaking. Just down to the left-hand side there is a shopping centre called the Eaton Centre. It's the Roy Rogers Hall, I think now. I think that's what it's called. I need to double check that. Remember all these skyscrapers. This slightly goldish one right in front of us, or just to the right here, that's the Royal Bank of Canada Tower. And it, I seem to recall, it reflects a gold hue across the entire area. Here's Union Station. Here's the Air Canada Centre. In 2004, I saw the Bare Naked Ladies at the Air Canada Centre. And back down near the waterfront. Absolutely stunning. It almost feels like I'm there. That's one way to beat lockdown. Thanks again for watching. Do hit subscribe, do click like. And next time we're flying to Niagara Falls. We'll see you then.